Venus is the most deceptive, heartbreaking trap in our entire night sky. Looks so peaceful, so inviting. But this hellish world proved a terrifying, uncomfortable truth. The universe doesn't care what's closest to us. It only rewards what we can actually survive. For one fleeting moment, humanity didn't see Venus as an absolute monster. We actually thought it was our ultimate destination. But then we uncovered its horrifying reality, and the world ran screaming in the other direction. Get ready for a mind-blowing fact that almost nobody realizes. The United States hasn't dared to send a dedicated NASA spacecraft to Venus in over 30 years. The very last time NASA actually locked a probe into Venus's orbit, the year was 1989. It is not that this toxic world stopped mattering. It is that Venus violently refuses to play by our rules. This is a brutal planet that absolutely punishes shortcuts. It annihilates human optimism. It completely destroys our hardware. So the burning question isn't why we never went. We actually did. The real terrifying mystery is why we never stayed, and why we completely abandoned it while obsessively returning to Mars. Follow this dark chain of secrets, and you stumble into a massive, mind-bending mystery. Venus might actually hold the ultimate key to understanding life itself, including the very survival of Earth. Yet it became the one cursed planet we desperately avoid. The shocking turning point of this entire saga has a name: Magellan. Magellan wasn't some flawless billion-dollar masterpiece. It was a desperate Frankenstein spacecraft cobbled together from spare parts. Its radar was ripped straight from Voyager. Its thrusters were scavenged from Mariner. Its star scanner was taken from Galileo. This was a frantic, high-pressure patchwork mission that completely shattered everything we thought we knew about Venus. After a grueling 15-month journey, Magellan finally pierced the orbit of Venus in August of 1990. And for 4 unbelievable years, it did the impossible. Using synthetic aperture radar, it sliced right through the toxic clouds to expose the hidden surface in jaw-dropping detail. Magellan mapped the nightmare world at 300 feet per pixel, exposing over 98% of the entire planet. What it uncovered was absolutely terrifying. Venus wasn't a quiet world. It was completely paved in boiling lava, colossal, monstrous shield volcanoes, endless oceans of frozen magma stretching for thousands of miles, bizarre, massive pancake domes where thick lava oozed like syrup and froze into gigantic disks, and massive coronae, freakish rings forged by intense, violent heat boiling up from the planet's deep, dark core. Then came the chilling discovery that still leaves scientists speechless today. Venus looks impossibly young. Not like a newborn world, but like a planet that was violently wiped clean. There are fewer than 1,000 impact craters across the entire globe. Earth's moon has millions. Mars has hundreds of thousands. A crater count this shockingly low points to a catastrophic planet-wide apocalypse just a few 100 million years ago. The entire surface was brutally erased, a massive volcanic explosion that hit the ultimate reset button. This is exactly where Venus breaks all the rules of science. Without plate tectonics like Earth, and with zero water to lubricate its crust, Venus should have died billions of years ago, freezing into a stagnant, lifeless rock. But Magellan's maps screamed the exact opposite. They revealed shockingly recent volcanic eruptions, and terrifyingly, volcanoes that might still be exploding right now. The mysterious tesserae are the most crucial puzzle pieces in this dark history. These continent-sized highlands are brutally fractured, folded, and heavily mangled terrains towering over the lava plains. Scientists suspect these bizarre formations are the ancient crust, the oldest surviving rocks on Venus, and the only haunting leftovers from whatever this planet used to be before the Great Apocalypse. If this is true, the tesserae might hold the most explosive, valuable secrets in the solar system. They could hide the ultimate clues about Venus's ancient climate and reveal if oceans of liquid water once thrived there. But radar alone can only uncover so much of this terrifying mystery. Magellan delivered a stunning global map, but it completely missed the chemical fingerprint. It couldn't reveal the shocking truth of what those rocks are actually made of. The legendary probe survived until October 1994. In its final tragic moments, it was ordered into a death dive, burning up, violently swallowed by the toxic clouds. Then the exploration went dead silent. After Magellan, the U.S. shockingly abandoned its dedicated pipeline back to Venus. The real reason? A massive shift in momentum. In August 1996, scientists dropped a bombshell that electrified the entire world. They found mind-blowing potential alien fossils inside a Martian meteorite called ALH 8401. Plucked from Antarctica in 1984, this alien rock was violently blasted off Mars millions of years ago. The sensational claim didn't survive, but the viral headlines absolutely did. Later tests proved non-biological forces could fake those exact structures. But the damage was done, and the narrative took over. Mars instantly became the ultimate cosmic storyline. A thrilling world where life might have thrived. A safe haven where our machines could actually survive. Then came the unstoppable parade of epic missions. Mars Pathfinder and Sojourner in 1997. The Mars Global Surveyor. Perseverance and Ingenuity in 2020. The whole world joined the hype. Mars Express, Magellan, Tianwen-1, and so many more. Mars became completely routine, while Venus became the terrifying world we only dared watch from a safe distance. This wasn't just a cultural shift, it was a brutal engineering reality. Mars is tough, but it's totally workable. The atmosphere is thin. The freezing surface is surprisingly survivable for our tech. Rovers can roam for decades. Solar panels soak up power. Fragile electronics stay safe, and communication is a breeze. But Venus is a totally different beast. Venus is the horrifying result of a planet weaponizing its own environment. The absolute longest any lander has ever survived, that hellscape is just over 2 miserable hours. So the argument became painfully simple. Why waste billions on a death trap that instantly shreds your hardware? But that logic hides a catastrophic mistake. Science isn't supposed to take the easy way out. It is meant to hunt down the most mind-bending mysteries in the universe. And Venus holds the most terrifying planetary secret of all. How did two identical twin planets suffer such drastically opposite, horrific fates? We know Venus wasn't always this apocalyptic nightmare because its toxic sky still hides a tragic fingerprint of loss. The ultimate clue: heavy water or deuterium compared to normal hydrogen. On Venus, that ratio is a staggering 150 times higher than here on Earth. This proves Venus once held vastly more water than it does today. How much water? Potentially enough to drown the entire planet in massive oceans. If oceans existed, liquid water had to be perfectly stable on the surface. That means temperatures were once comfortably between 32 and 212 degrees Fahrenheit. It implies a friendly atmosphere that behaved completely differently. It implies clouds that were not made of flesh-melting sulfuric acid. So what triggered this apocalyptic switch? The most terrifying explanation is a runaway greenhouse effect. Venus sits closer to the sun, taking a much heavier beating of sunlight than Earth. But in the ancient solar system, our sun was actually 30% dimmer than it is today. So early Venus likely started as a beautiful habitable paradise. But as the sun violently brightened, Venus began to boil. Massive oceans evaporated into the sky. Water vapor traps intense heat, triggering a catastrophic feedback loop of endless evaporation and unstoppable warming. A vicious cycle that never stabilizes, it only accelerates. Eventually, the oceans were completely eradicated. Brutal ultraviolet light shattered the water molecules. Hydrogen bled out into the cold void of space, while oxygen was locked away in the dead, scorched rocks forever. Over hundreds of millions of years, Venus was violently stripped of the water that could have saved its climate. Toxic carbon dioxide took over. On Earth, deadly carbon dioxide is buried by plate tectonics and weathering, miracles driven by liquid water. Without water, that entire system collapses. Raging volcanoes keep pumping out CO2 with absolutely no way to escape. Today, Venus is a suffocating 96% carbon dioxide, and the hellish surface blasts past 842 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt solid lead, zinc, and tin. That's the terrifying big picture, but the exact timeline remains a massive mystery. And that is exactly why Venus is so incredibly important. It isn't just about our doomed neighbor. It's about every single rocky exoplanet we discover across the galaxy. Mind-blowing surveys have uncovered thousands of alien worlds. Many are the exact size of Earth or Venus. Countless orbit right in the habitable zone where liquid water could theoretically exist. But we are totally blind to their surfaces. We only measure mass, size, and orbit. Sometimes we catch a glimpse of their atmospheres, but usually only in the easiest cases. So the ultimate question is, how do you tell a lush Earth from a hellish Venus with limited data? Right now, we simply can't. We still don't grasp the shocking early conditions that pushed Earth toward life and Venus toward absolute hell. Venus is the ultimate missing puzzle piece, and for decades we practically ignored it. Then, in September 2020, Venus shocked the world and forced a massive reset. A team shockingly reported phosphine hiding in the Venusian clouds using data from the James Clerk Maxwell Telescope in Hawaii and ALMA in Chile. They detected a bizarre spectral signature at the 1.1 millimeter wavelength, perfectly matching phosphine. The reason this broke the internet is simple. On Earth, phosphine is almost exclusively created by life, by anaerobic microbes in oxygen-starved environments. There are zero known non-living processes that produce it in such massive quantities here. So the explosive question instantly arose, could alien life actually be hiding in the clouds of Venus? The surface is instant death, but the cloud layer is a completely different story. Roughly 31 miles above the inferno, the pressure mimics Earth's sea level, and temperatures are shockingly mild, hovering right around 68 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. That doesn't mean it's friendly. Those floating droplets are still pure sulfuric acid, but it makes it a bizarre alien zone where chemistry behaves totally differently than on the deadly surface. But then came the brutal whiplash. Fierce reanalyses raised massive red flags. Flawed data processing, statistical doubts, and the terrifying possibility that sulfur dioxide was just mimicking the signal. Rival groups argued there was zero phosphine at all. Others claimed the amounts were drastically smaller than first hyped. Follow-up observations completely failed to find it. NASA's SOFIA saw absolutely nothing. The infrared telescope facility in Hawaii stared into the void and found nothing. Even archived data from ESA's Venus Express, orbiting from 2006 to 2014, showed zero trace of the gas. The scientific world split into warring camps. Not because researchers love drama, but because the chaotic atmosphere of Venus is mind-bendingly complex, and our models are totally inadequate. But then in 2024, a massive bombshell. Brand new observations from the James Clerk Maxwell Telescope detected phosphine again, armed with more data and a highly upgraded analysis. That same team also dropped preliminary evidence for ammonia, and ammonia is an even crazier puzzle. In Venus's highly oxidizing atmosphere, ammonia should be instantly obliterated by photochemistry, and it carries a jaw-dropping second implication. Dissolved in sulfuric acid, it could actually neutralize the deadly acidity. This bizarre twist makes those toxic droplets shockingly survivable. Now, this doesn't guarantee alien life, but it proves something absolutely mind-blowing. The toxic clouds of Venus are completely defying everything our science predicted. There is only one way to uncover the truth. Forget the rumors and the wild headlines. We need hard, undeniable proof. And that is exactly why the next era of Venus exploration is going to change everything. In 2021, NASA made a shocking announcement, greenlighting 2 massive missions to Venus. After decades of being completely ignored, this hellish world is finally stealing the spotlight. First up is Da Vinci Plus, a daring probe built to plunge straight through the deadly atmosphere, hunting for secrets on its terrifying descent. It will hunt for rare gases and trace elements to finally expose exactly when Venus lost its ancient oceans. It is also targeting Alpha Regio, a mysterious twisted terrain that could hide the ultimate proof of a watery past. Da Vinci Plus will blast a frantic stream of priceless data back to Earth before it smashes into the brutal surface and dies. The second game changer is Veritas, an epic orbiter armed with radar that makes Magellan look like a toy. Scheduled to launch around 2031, Veritas will perform a terrifying aerobraking maneuver, surfing the planet's deadly drag to plummet from 20,000 miles down to a razor-thin 250. And ESA is joining the invasion. Envision is locked in for a spectacular launch in late 2031. After a grueling 15-month voyage through the dark void, it will also brave the fiery atmospheric drag before starting its ultimate science mission. This is massive because Venus is not just a simple target. It is a terrifying puzzle. Its violent geology, toxic skies, and dark history are all twisted together in one chaotic nightmare. Make no mistake, Venus is the most brutal, unforgiving hellscape we have ever dared to explore. Down on the surface, temperatures explode past 450 degrees Celsius with crushing pressures 92 times heavier than Earth. The sky is literally corrosive, raining flesh-melting sulfuric acid that destroys almost everything. Normal technology doesn't stand a chance. Standard silicon chips instantly die at just 150 degrees. Solder liquefies. Circuit boards vaporize. Batteries explode and massive mechanical systems are crushed into absolute silence. The legendary Soviet Venera landers only survive through insane, brute force engineering, massive steel vaults packed with extreme insulation. And even then, the absolute longest they survived the inferno was a pathetic 2 hours. But now, revolutionary modern tech is giving us a fighting chance. Mind-blowing silicon carbide chips can actually survive above 500 degrees, powering the most extreme aerospace machines ever built. NASA's Glenn Research Center just pulled off the impossible, keeping these superchips alive for over 500 hours in a 500-degree oven. Some of these beastly circuits even survived a simulated Venus hellscape for an unbelievable 60 days. That is a staggering 100-fold leap over normal tech. We are finally talking about epic surface missions lasting months instead of mere minutes. But there is a brutal catch. These heat-proof chips are incredibly primitive. We are talking about computing power straight out of 1972. So forget about sending a fancy high-tech rover. We have to send ultra-tough, laser-focused tools, simple but brilliant instruments designed to crack the planet's biggest, most valuable secrets. And the atmosphere is a totally different kind of monster. It might not melt steel, but it is violently chaotic. Venus spins incredibly slowly, taking 243 Earth days for a single rotation. But the hurricane force winds up in the clouds, scream at a terrifying 360 kilometers per hour. Any probe or balloon would be violently whipped around the entire planet in just 4 days. This completely shatters how we design missions. Instead of driving to a target, you are forced to surf the chaotic winds. Forget precise landings. We are gearing up for the most extreme, high-speed moving observations in the entire solar system. NASA is plotting to deploy solar-powered aircraft that could soar through alien skies forever. The master plan: glide at a safe 50 to 60 kilometers high, escaping the brutal hellscape below. But there is a massive catch: the staggering cost. While Mars missions easily recycle decades of cheap, standard tech, Venus demands insanely expensive, custom-built gear. This sparks a vicious, unbreakable curse. Venus remains too pricey, so missions vanish. Tech stalls, and the price tag skyrockets even higher. To shatter this toxic loop, humanity must do the exact opposite of the Magellan era. No more abandoned missions, followed by dead silence. We need a relentless, unstoppable invasion to conquer Venus once and for all. Why? Because the shocking truth about Venus holds the ultimate dark secret to Earth's survival and every single rocky exoplanet we dare to call habitable. Earth and Venus are terrifyingly identical twins. Venus boasts 95% of Earth's size, 82% of its mass, and the exact same density. Forged in the exact same cosmic neighborhood at the dawn of time, their destinies violently ripped apart. One blossomed into a lush, thriving paradise. The other mutated into a horrifying, toxic wasteland. This is a chilling glimpse into our own apocalyptic future. Forget human pollution. Earth is doomed to suffer a catastrophic runaway greenhouse effect triggered by our own mutating sun. In just 1 billion years, a blinding solar surge will push our world past the point of no return. Oceans will boil away. Trapped steam will choke the planet, and Earth will literally become a second Venus. Venus has already suffered this exact apocalyptic nightmare. If we ever want to survive the brutal limits of habitability, ignoring Venus is absolute madness. It is the most terrifying cosmic graveyard right in our own backyard. The ultimate mystery isn't why Venus is a death trap. The true scandal is why humanity blindly ignored it for decades. After 30 agonizing years of silence, the blackout is finally ending. Not because this hell world got any friendlier, but because we can no longer hide from its terrifying truth. And there is one mind-bending anomaly that will completely shatter everything you thought you knew. A glitch in the matrix you simply cannot unsee. Venus spins backwards, defying the laws of almost everything else in our inner solar system. Going back isn't just some nostalgic trip to a forgotten world. It is a desperate mission to find out if Earth is a freak accident, or if dead worlds like Venus are the terrifying norm. For decades, we completely ignored the ultimate cosmic warning sign. Every single time we blindly label a distant exoplanet habitable, we are gambling in the dark, because we still can't explain how Venus turned into a monster. Is this nightmare planet still geologically alive right now? How did it become such a hellscape? The only way to expose the truth is to shatter our old assumptions and test our wildest theories against brutal reality. We need a relentless wave of new missions to trigger the explosive era of discovery that Venus was always denied. Forget one-hit wonder headlines. This is a fight for the ultimate truth. What violent geologic eruptions exploded while humanity looked away? What bizarre chemical mutations happened in the dark? What massive secrets did we lose by waiting 30 agonizing years? Whatever the answer, these ancient scarred highlands are our absolute best shot at uncovering the paradise Venus used to be. They hold the ancient keys to bizarre alien processes we have never witnessed on Earth. These bizarre clues expose a hidden, violent history we are only just beginning to decode. Even the twisted tesserae scream a dark confession. Make no mistake, Venus is screaming that it is far from dead. This hellish world is actively erasing its own surface, or it just suffered a massive catastrophic wipe. A world with barely 1,000 craters is hiding a dark secret. This is exactly why those missing craters change everything. It is a ghost story floating in the sky. This is no joke. And that is why the shocking heavy water ratio is crucial. It dictates the brutal geology over millions of years. It completely controls what bizarre chemistry can survive. It dominates the ground. On Venus, the toxic atmosphere is the absolute master. Meanwhile, on Mars, the air is so pathetically thin, it barely even exists. This nightmare world teaches a terrifying lesson about alien skies. A brutal reality where one tiny physics mistake means instant, crushing death. Venus offers a ruthless, unforgiving challenge. A puzzle that requires relentless, agonizing trial and error to survive. Mars, however, is just a slow, sleepy wasteland. Venus forces us to witness how a paradise flips into an absolute hellscape. It demands that we stare directly into apocalyptic failure. And that is exactly why unlocking Venus is the ultimate prize. It forces a brutal choice. Risk a fast, deadly plunge, or wait decades for tech that might not fail. There is no playing it safe or stretching the timeline on this demon world. You cannot just park a rover and casually tweak its software for years. Venus completely destroys the safe, comfortable illusion of space exploration. We abandoned it because curiosity crashed into impossible logistics. But make no mistake, it wasn't due to a lack of mind-blowing mysteries. The dead silence after the Magellan mission is deeply unnatural. This is the planet that dominates our calendars and our ancient myths. It burns brighter than anything else in the night sky. Venus is literally our next-door neighbor in the solar system. Yet, We have been dangerously close enough to just take it for granted. If you are wondering why this world still baffles us today, it is because we are missing a massive, terrifying link in how rocky planets actually evolve. This is why returning to Venus is an absolute do-or-die necessity. We must drop targeted landers to expose what the radar is hiding. We need extreme probes to rip the secrets from its toxic chemistry. We need massive orbiters to map the entire apocalyptic globe. We must forge an unstoppable chain of missions. Venus cannot copy Mars exactly, but it must steal its winning strategy. The mysteries were solved because the hardware finally stopped dying. The operations became flawless. The landing systems evolved. Every single Mars mission stole brilliance from the one before it. Mars got a massive head start. But Venus never got the chance to fight back. Magellan was an epic triumph, but it was completely abandoned. Venus has been trapped as a mere sideshow for way too long. And an ironclad reputation is how you expose the real truth. A massive program guarantees relentless repetition. Simple curiosity leaves you with one lonely mission and a dead dataset. That is the shocking difference between a sideshow and a real program. It transforms into a world we can relentlessly dominate, and once we do, Venus stops being a suicidal one-shot gamble. We can finally watch the violent atmosphere boil without our hardware melting in seconds. We can track the deadly chemistry forever. We can drop advanced instruments into the hellfire and actually keep them alive. Because those toxic clouds are where Venus shifts from absolute impossibility to a puzzle we can actually crack. And that is exactly why this alien cloud layer is the ultimate prize, even if we never find a single trace of life there. This shocking controversy proved we are blind to the truth. The real bombshell wasn't just a headline about alien life. Tiny data glitches erupted into explosive scientific wars. Mysterious signals are buried under toxic chemistry. Dark secrets in one layer are swallowed by another because Venus is a chaotic, raging beast. We have no clue where these molecules form or what brutally destroys them. A telescope might hint at a bizarre chemical, but staring from afar isn't touching the alien dirt. That is exactly why the fierce debate exploded into chaos. Terrifying uncertainties multiply because we are starved for hard facts. It's a maze of dead ends. Venus teases us with mind-bending chemistry but refuses to surrender its secrets. Alien life or a dead world? Yes or no? The second you hear the word biosignature, you demand the ultimate truth. But the real shock was the world's explosive reaction. The phosphine scandal proves exactly how Venus manipulates us. It exposes what we obsess over and what we tragically abandon. It becomes a massive institutional failure. It becomes a historical tragedy because the science falls apart. And when you realize that, the burning question, why did we abandon this hellscape, becomes absolutely haunting. This is a world you must stalk like a living monster. It's a threat you constantly monitor. Venus is not a vacation spot, it is a death trap, and that is the core truth. The only way to crack its code is by relentlessly watching it, not just snapping a single photo. If Venus is violently ripping its surface apart right now, revolutionary new radar could expose the hidden destruction. Magellan proved radar can strip away the planet's disguise. And radar is our only weapon to pierce through those suffocating clouds. Either way, the bizarre tesserae prove we cannot ignore this monstrous world. If these twisted lands aren't ancient, then Venus is mutating in terrifying ways we have never seen on Earth. But if the tesserae are ancient, they might hide the ghostly fingerprints of a lost world, right before an apocalypse wiped it clean. We finally have a chance to read the planet's forbidden history. This isn't just weird rock. This is the key to unlocking the greatest mystery. You might find a tantalizing clue, but this diabolical planet twists every answer into new, maddening questions. You can scan the toxic chemicals, but you must link them to the violent geology. You can map the scorched surface, but you are blind to what it's made of. One desperate mission will never conquer this beast. Venus ruthlessly destroys the arrogant hero mindset. And over the decades, tiny blind spots mutated into a catastrophic failure in space exploration. This is a massive disaster because fickle public hype dictates what gets funded. The data is scientifically priceless, but emotionally dead. Our most honest glimpses are just cold radar maps and fake colors. Venus violently hides its true face behind acid clouds. It is a nightmare realm your mind can't even comprehend standing on. Mars gives us beautiful rover tracks and stunning landscapes. But Venus is impossible to love because it brutally denies us the breathtaking visuals we crave. There is a dark human bias that charts will never show you. But that agonizing curse is finally shattering. It is way too critical to ignore and far too deadly to underestimate. Without the full truth, Venus stays trapped in a dark, forgotten purgatory. It completely robbed us of the ultimate cosmic story. Magellan only gave us a superficial map. But this hellish world is a massive, interconnected beast, waiting to be unleashed. Once you finally look at Venus as one massive, terrifying system, it's dead obvious why treating this hellscape like a random side quest was a massive failure. We can't look at separate clues. We must see the whole beast. The scorching surface, the toxic atmosphere, the deadly clouds, and the boiling core. A hardcore Venus mission will finally link these deadly layers together. These missions will expose how much of this toxic sky is ancient, how much erupted, and how much chemically mutated. We shift the story from guessing to knowing the absolute truth. This is exactly why dropping probes into that alien sky is so vital. They hunt for hidden, shocking signs of alien activity that a single photo completely misses. A powerful orbiter will map violent deformations, brutal terrain, gravity traps, and shocking shifts over time. That is the true, undeniable power of orbiters. This hellish world might vent its boiling core through terrifying, mysterious cycles. Venus absolutely refuses to play by Earth's rules. Our planet uses plate tectonics like a safety valve. But this dark twin holds the ultimate secret. Does it unleash its boiling energy in rare apocalyptic explosions or through a slow, agonizing burn? It's the ultimate clue to its hidden, raging core and how it violently erupts. A global resurfacing event isn't just lava happening, it's a brutal geological massacre. The evidence is locked inside what the toxic sky kept, what it bled into space, and what the scorched ground swallowed. The dark truth is hidden inside noble gases. The shocking answer lies deep within its twisted atmospheric chemistry. Right now, both terrifying scenarios are entirely possible, and they tell two mind-blowing, radically different stories. Or did it stay perfectly stable for ages, only to violently collapse when a deadly tipping point was crossed? Did this doomed world boil away its oceans before alien life even had a fighting chance? We aren't just asking what happened, but exactly when the apocalypse struck. And that is exactly why the most terrifying mystery of all is the timeline. A planet can perfectly mirror Earth's traits and still mutate into an unrecognizable nightmare. Venus is the ultimate proof that size does not equal survival. When we hype up Earth-like exoplanets, we usually just mean their size and orbit. But Venus is absolutely crucial because it balances on a terrifying knife edge of dark secrets. You must investigate the evil twin that went horribly wrong. You have to study the ultimate cosmic disaster. You can't just stare blindly at Earth. If you truly want to know why our world survived, you must expose the terrifying blind spot we've ignored for decades. These missions are a brutal reality check. And that is why returning to Venus is way more than just a comeback. It is the most vital warning sign we have for the dark fate a rocky planet can suffer. Simply put, Venus is no trivial side quest. It holds the absolute key to understanding if a planet can survive long term. It unlocks the shocking truth about alien habitable zones. It completely shatters everything we thought we knew about atmospheres. Venus is the ultimate terrifying proof that a rocky world can cross a deadly threshold and mutate into a literal hell. It is absolutely not a mirror of Earth today. It is our darkest nightmare. Venus brutally forces us to face the terrifying reality of climate change and planetary doom. And when we finally dare to touch down on that cursed surface, we will bring a hardcore arsenal tested in literal hell, not just in a lab. These missions let us upgrade our cutting-edge tech while keeping the hardware alive in brutal conditions. They let us build unstoppable confidence without demanding impossible survival on that melting surface. That is exactly why high-tech orbiters and floating sky platforms are absolutely priceless right now. It's the ultimate strategy to make these insane missions less impossible and highly repeatable. We are building a legendary arsenal of battle-tested gear. Indestructible pressure vessels, extreme heat shields, flawless comms, and hardcore sampling tools. It is the ultimate standardization for conquering hell. The shocking future of Venus isn't one lone heroic lander. Custom fixes are insanely pricey, highly risky, and always delayed. Every single mission idea was treated like a totally unique nightmare. Venus never got that lucky break. Crews recycled bold designs, upgraded steps, and forged an unstoppable legacy. No epic mission started from scratch. Mars won big through pure repetition. To truly conquer Venus, we desperately need what we accidentally built for Mars. A strong platform culture. We simply failed to listen long enough. The shocking truth? Venus has screamed for years that it demands a permanent spot in our ultimate space race. And knowing a world is how science wins. This world can become familiar, but surviving Venus will never be easy. It unlocks a truly thrilling mystery, the kind that sparks mind-blowing questions, radical tests, and groundbreaking new models. Once watching it becomes a habit, Venus sheds its most maddening and frustrating secrets. This is huge because it makes exploring a daily habit, not just a rare exception. That's why this next era matters way more than just one set of data. If the brutal surface shifts, it morphs completely hidden without a clock to track it. If the toxic sky brews bizarre, unexplained chemistry, it rages on without any samples. If volcanoes still erupt, they explode with zero witnesses. Meanwhile, this hellish world keeps doing its terrifying thing. Because we waited for the perfect mission plan, not because we ever stopped caring. That is how vital worlds get ignored. And when space missions must be flawless, they face agonizing delays. That makes every single launch feel like a do-or-die gamble. On Venus, every step costs a fortune, and the brutal environment wipes out your progress. You can revisit a crater, scale a ridge, grab fresh rocks, and build an epic story step by step. On Mars, every new rover expands the previous story. The harsh reality is, Venus punishes slow, careful exploration, unlike the Red Planet. Why did Venus, of all places, become the one terrifying problem we chose to ignore? And this drags us back to an intense emotional mystery. That's the secret payoff making Venus worth the agonizing pain. It will completely shatter how we view Earth-sized planets around distant stars. The explosive impact won't stop at Venus. When the next wave of space missions brings back ultra-detailed maps, wild atmospheric chemistry, and shocking historical clues, it rewrites the rules for an entire class of planets. It doesn't just decode Venus. And that's why every single data point from Venus holds unimaginable power. It's our closest, terrifying look at the razor-thin line between stable and doomed. That's exactly why Venus constantly dominates the most intense debates about rocky worlds. Over millions of years, tiny differences forge alien worlds. A slightly different rate of violent heat. A bizarrely different early atmosphere. Just a little less water. A tiny bit more sunlight. In space science, that massive difference comes down to tiny initial sparks, amplified over eons. Two planets can look exactly alike, yet suffer completely different, horrifying fates. Venus also reveals a dark lesson about twins. These are the scars of a world that still holds terrifying power over our minds. These aren't the signs of a solved world. We know the atmosphere is pure hell, but we still catch it doing things that completely break our models. We know this planet lost its water, but we have no idea when that catastrophic loss became permanent. This world looks shockingly young, hiding how it violently erases its past. We aren't fully certain. But what we do know is absolutely terrifying. The ultimate mind-blowing truth about the dark mystery of Venus comes down to this. And speaking of bizarre cosmic secrets, there is something deeply wrong with Mercury and Venus. They are completely stripped of any moons. Jupiter has 92. Saturn boasts over 200. But these two, absolutely zero. The crushing, merciless gravity of our sun brutally destroys absolutely everything that dares to orbit too close.